Manchester United taking on Hull City again for the fourth time this season. This one at Old Trafford, that one last week, obviously away at Hull. Really difficult for Manchester United last week. They played really well, certainly first half. Manchester United got a bit better in the second half. But still we lost that game, even though we had a dubious penalty given against us. But we move on to the next one against them. I think this is going to be a completely different game. It's at Old Trafford, where we've been a lot better this season. Only lost one game at home all season. But I think there's more for Manchester United's players to get up for this one. Admittedly, there was a place at Wembley at stake in that game last week. But with that comfortable looking 2-0 lead, not many people thought that we were going to lose that game and get knocked out. I mean, we've lost the game, but it didn't matter. That was the type of game where you can afford to lose 2-1, 1-0, something like that, and still go through. Yes, it was a really poor performance, and it could be worrying if we show any signs of that again in this game. But that was the perfect game to have a bad game, because we still got through the tie and got to go to Wembley, which is in February. If we have another horseshit performance like that in this one, then we really are going to be in trouble. Our top four hopes will be in jeopardy. But with Liverpool tonight playing Chelsea, which is currently 1-0 to Chelsea, hopefully they can do us a favour and we can close the gap at least on them, which would be great. Manchester City have got to play West Ham obviously as well, so we will have to wait and see on that one. But hopefully Manchester United can at least close the gap on one team each week. The top teams are playing each other all the time now for a while, so hopefully we can close the gap on some of these teams and get shooting up that table, because that's what we want to do. We should be getting in that top four with the amount of money we've spent. I would expect Jose Mourinho to go back to a really strong team for this game. Rested a lot of players against Wigan. I would expect the back four to go back to what we've pretty much seen from most of the season lately. David De Gea obviously in goal. Valencia will come back in at right back. It will most likely be Rojo and Jones. Wouldn't be too much of a problem for that. And then it will probably be Diamond at left back. I would personally go for Blind at left back, but we'll have to wait and see. I can't see him going for Short again. He's only just played a few days ago, and early on I thought he looked rusty, but grew into the game. It's going to take him time. He's been out a while, so hopefully he can maybe come off the bench even, maybe late on if we're winning the game, maybe 1-2-0, and have a few minutes. But I wouldn't expect him to play the whole game. Eric Bailly got injured for the under-23s, so I can't see him playing in this game. The midfield three almost picks itself. Herrera, Pogba, Carrick. You can't really replace Carrick at this moment in time, but Bastian Schweinsteiger has done his best against Wigan to put himself in the reckoning, and hopefully if for any reason Carrick can't play, we could actually play Bastian Schweinsteiger, a much better option than Fellaini. Fellaini is dog shit. Why are we trying to play him in midfield? It's just not right. He's not a midfield player like that. It's oof the ball up to Fellaini shit, which we don't want to see. And we need a player like Bastian Schweinsteiger in midfield, a World Cup winner, remember. He should be in my team ahead of Fellaini. And then the forward three is a bit where it gets a bit tricky for Mourinho, because he hasn't always fancied Martial with his inconsistency. But he did get two assists when he switched out wide from playing in a more central position against Wigan. He seemed to have a lot more joy out there with his pace, and it seemed like it was probably a bit too congested in the middle of the pitch for Anthony Martial to get any time and space. He barely had any touches in their penalty area when he was played as a number 9. But had so many more touches, created so many more chances, and got 1 or 2 shots away when he was moved out wide. So he should be playing out wide. The only thing is he's got to have a good game in this game, otherwise he'll be back to square one and back on the bench for that game against Leicester, which we don't want to see. We want to see him get some momentum now and start performing well, which we know he can do. Mkhitaryan's got to be out on the other hand side. Fantastic again against Wigan. I know it was only Wigan, but still a really good performance, and it will be that man again, Zlatan, back up front, which should be good enough to beat Hull City. Yes, they played well in that game. I was surprised that they've let Snodgrass go. He's gone to West Ham now. He was one of their decent players, but apparently they're bringing a few players in before the end of the transfer window. The manager's looking like he's got Hull City playing a lot better. They certainly played a lot better when they played us in the League Cup. They really had a go, certainly first half. We did get a bit better in that second half against them, but they never looked anything like that under Mike Phelan before. I remember when we played them earlier in the season, it was all part of the bus stuff. Admittedly, they did have to go for that game, being 2-0 down in the cup tie, but they did look a lot better than they did earlier in the season. I've watched them a few times this season and they've certainly looked better under this new manager. Seems to have given the players maybe a lift as well, but I would expect Manchester United to get the job done in this. I'm going to go for a Manchester United win, 2-0. Hopefully then we will close the gap on the likes of Liverpool if they slip up against Chelsea and whoever else, if any of the others slip up. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you all again soon.